All right, Shalom. This is Brother Tazabah from the Jam Atlanta camp. I just want to continue, the second part to the Daniel, the 8th chapter, the breakdown. All right. So I'm going to start back here at verse 9. And it says, "And out of one of them came forth a little horn, which waxed exceeding great towards the south and towards the east and towards a pleasant land." And that pleasant land is Jerusalem. All right. That's our land, all right? And that little horn is Antiochus Epiphanes, man. Is they're speaking of Antiochus' surname Epiphanes. All right. It says, "And it waxed great, even to the host of heaven, and it cast down some of the host and of the stars to the ground and stamped upon him." And that's speaking of the Israelites. That's exactly what he did when he came into to the promised land, man. He massacred our people. Yea, he magnified himself even to the prince of the host, and by him the daily sacrifice was taken away, and the place of his sanctuary was cast down. All right. So to go into that, I go here. This is First Maccabees chapter 1. I'll start at verse 10. All right. It says, "And there came out of them a wicked root," and that's that little horn. All right. It says, "And there came out of them a wicked root, Antiochus, surname Epiphanes, son of Antiochus the king, who had been an hostage at Rome, and he reigned in the 137th year of the kingdom of the Greeks. In those days went there out of Israel wicked men who persuaded many, saying, Let us go and make a covenant with the heathen that are round about us, for since we departed from them, we have had much sorrow, and this device pleased them. Then certain of the people were so forward therein that they went to the king, which is Antiochus, who gave them license to do after the ordinance of the heathen." All right. So he brought about Jake. He done away with Jake keeping our customs, and he allowed Jake and gave Jake license to keep the customs of the heathens. All right. Whereon they built a place of exercise at Jerusalem according to the customs of the heathens. That's why you catch so many Jakes now. Everybody got hoop dreams. The NFL, the NBA, want to be a rapper, want to be a singer or a superstar. Because Esau, that spirit was planted way back when. All right. So let's go back. All right. "And made themselves uncircumcised and forsook the holy covenant and joined themselves to the heathen and were sold to do mischief." All right. So let's go back over into Daniel. It says, "Yea, he magnified himself even to the prince of the host, and by him the daily sacrifice was taken away." And the daily sacrifice was taken away. "And the place of his sanctuary was cast down. And a host was given him against the daily sacrifice by reason of transgression. And it cast down the truth to the ground, and it practiced and it prospered." Yeah, because you saw the precept that I brought out to you. Jake was glad to, put up a gymnasium, put up this, put up that. All because why? Because the heathen gave him license, man. Jake always had been, wanting to go off and see what it was to be a heathen. And now this was the time in which the heathens would prosper, man. All right. And wickedness multiplied within the earth. All right. "Then I heard one saint speaking, and another saint say unto the certain saint which spake, How long shall the vision concerning the daily sacrifice and the transgression of desolation to give both the sanctuary and the host to be trodden underfoot? And he said unto me, Unto 2,300 days, then shall the sanctuary be cleansed." And the sanctuary was cleansed under Judas Maccabeus. All right. During the rededication of the temple. That's what we get, quote unquote, Hanukkah. All right. And that 2,300 days is a period of time, man. All right. And it came to pass when I, even I, Daniel, had seen the vision and sought for meaning. Then behold, there stood before me as the appearance of a man. And I heard a man's voice between the banks of Yalah, which called and said, Gabriel, make this man to understand the vision. All right. So an angel came unto him named Gabriel, and the Lord gave charge unto Gabriel to give Daniel understanding of the vision. All right. So here it is. So he came near where I stood. When he came, I was afraid and fell upon my face. But he said unto me, understand, O son of man, for at the time of the end shall be the vision. All right. Now, as he was speaking with me, I was in a deep sleep on my face towards the ground, but he touched me and set me upright. And he said, behold, I will make thee know what shall be in the last end of the indignation. All right. And that indignation was against our people, man. A righteous hatred against our people and the wickedness of Esau as well, man. These heathens. All right. For at the time appointed, the end shall be. The ram which thou sawest having two horns are the kings of Media and Persia. All right. And the rough goat, and that goes into the Media and the Persians. That was what was his name? Darius. It was Darius. He was the king over the Medes. All right. And the rough goat is the king of Grecia. And the great horn that is between his eyes is the first king. All right. Now it says the rough goat is the king of Grecia. All right. So that goes back to First Maccabees. When you go up, it says, and it happened that after that, Alexander, son of Philip the Macedonian. So Philip the Macedonian was the first king over the Greeks. All right. Because who came out of the land of Chittim. Chittim had smitten Darius, king of the Persian and the Medes. All right. So the Greeks took down the Persians and the Medes through Philip the Macedonian, that he reigned in his stead the first over Greece. All right. But afterwards, Alexander came into play. All right. And that was Philip the Macedonian's son. All right. So that's that horn that's being spoken of. All right. So I go back. It says, and the rough goat is the king of Grecia. So that's the Greeks, and the great horn that is between his eyes is the first king. So that great horn is Alexander the Great. All right. Or the Alexander the Greek or the freak, whatever you want to call him, because he's not great, man. All right. Now that being broken, whereas four stood up for it, for kingdom shall stand up out of the nation, but not in his powers. Yeah, because Alexander had split his kingdom up into he had split it up between his top four generals, because Alexander the freak didn't have no kids, man. He wasn't able to pass that the kingdom down to his son. All right. So it says, now that being broken, whereas four stood up for it, four kingdoms shall stand up out of the nation, but not in his power. That goes here back in First Maccabees when it speaks on them putting on crowns upon themselves. All right. So Alexander reigned 12 years, then died, because he had conquered the known world by the age of 20. All right. And his servants bear rule, every one in his place. And after his death, they all put crowns upon themselves. So did their sons after them. Many years and evils were multiplied in the earth. All right. Now, them putting crowns upon themselves, those four generals were Lysimaeus, Calisander, Ptolemy, and Seleucid. All right. Now it says, verse 23, and in the latter time of their kingdom, when the transgressors are come to the full, and that's speaking of our people, the Israelites, all right, the transgressors, because our peoples are the transgressors of the law, a king of fierce countenance and understanding dark sentences shall stand up, and his power shall be mighty, but not by his own power. Yeah, because that's going into the Diaduchi Wars, because they was warring amongst themselves as well, you know. But Salakia, I'll read back. And his power shall be mighty, but not by his own power. Yeah, because these generals, they were warring amongst themselves during the Diaduchi Wars, you know, and then, you know, coming out of that, the greatest coming out of those kingdoms was the Seleucid Empire, and that's where you get Antiochus Epiphanes. He comes out of that Seleucid dynasty. But it says, but not by his own power. Yeah, because this is by the power of Yahweh Shem Yahushai. All right. This is because the power was really still with them, dating back all the way to Alexander the Greek, man. Because the Lord was with him, because the Lord was bringing forth prophecy. All right. It says, and he shall destroy wonderfully and shall prosper in practice and shall destroy the mighty and the holy people. And he did that, man, through his decrees. All right. He did that. And with me saying that, matter of fact, I'm going to read down and then I'm going to jump over. And through his policy, also he shall cause craft to prosper in his hand, and he shall magnify himself in his heart, and by peace shall destroy many. He shall also stand up against the prince of princes, but he shall be broken without hand. All right. So just as I had read to you in First Maccabees, he was giving Jake licenses to sin, basically. It says, through his policy also he shall cause craft to prosper in his hand. All right. So that's what that is leading to. He shall magnify himself in his heart, and by peace shall destroy many. Yeah. So in his heart, yeah, hey, he became proud, and through, you know, him saying peace, you're making deals here, him allowing Jake to create a gymnasium. It says, and by peace shall destroy many. He shall also stand up against the prince of princes, which is Yahweh Shai, but he shall be broken without hand. So let's get that. All right. That leads me to 2 Maccabees 9:4. All right. Well, matter of fact, yeah, we'll start at 4. All right. Because this is going into, he had just got whooped, you know, by the country of Persia. All right, he had just took an L. All right. It says, this is 2 Maccabees 9:4. Then swelling with anger, he thought to avenge upon the Jews the disgrace done unto him by those that made him flee, just like an Edomite. You know, you fight the world champion, you the #1 contender, you fight the world champion, you get smashed. And now, you know, you getting heckled and you getting heckled, you being laughed at. So instead of him going to fight, you know, hey, go avenge his ills against the champ that you lost, what do? He run into the crowd and start fighting, man. That was Esau. That's exactly what he did. So he was just trying to get a win. He was trying to get a W back in this column. All right. It says, therefore commanded he his chariot man to drive without ceasing, and to dispatch the journey, the judgment of the Most High now following him. For he had spoken proudly in this sort, that he would come to Jerusalem and make it a common burying place of the Jews. All right. So this is how he magnified himself. All right. This is how he magnified himself and destroyed the mighty and the holy people. All right. He magnified himself against the Most High. All right. But Yahweh Almighty, the power of Israel, smote him with the incurable and invisible plague. All right. So that's that broken without hand. All right. No man touched him. You know, the Lord just struck him down with an invisible plague. For as soon as he had spoken these words, a pain of the bowels that was remedies came unto him, and sore torments of the inner parts. And that most justly, for he had tormented other men's bowels with many and strange torments. Howbeit, he nothing at all ceased from his bragging. So see, that's how he magnified himself, man. Like with all of these things that the Lord has allowed him to do, and he knew it was wicked, you know. He was still proud. And then the Lord struck him in his inward parts, struck him in the bowels. And look how Esau still acting. Howbeit, he nothing at all ceased from his bragging, but still was filled with pride, breathing out fire in his rage against the Jews, and commanding to haste the journey. But it came to pass that he fell down from his chariot, carried violently, so that having a sore fall, all the members of his body were much pained. All right. See how the Lord, did nobody touch him? Hey, that's the hand of the Lord. Yo, can't make this up, man. And thus he that a little aforethought he might command the waves of the sea, so proud was he beyond the conditions of man, and weighed the high mountains in a balance, and was now cast on the ground and carried in a horse litter, showing forth unto all the manifest power of Yahweh Shem Yahushai. All right. And you see, that's how he was broken without hand. He magnified himself against the Most High, and the Lord struck him in the inward parts, and he was still proud. The Lord was like, nah, I'm finna break your back this time. And that's exactly what the Lord did. So that's him being broken without hand. All right. Now I go back to finish off. All right. And the vision of the evening and the morning which were told is true. Wherefore shut up thou the vision, for it shall be for many days. And I, Daniel, fainted and was sick certain days. Afterwards I rose up and did the king's business, and I was astonished at the vision, but none understood it. All right. So, that's the breakdown, man. So this breakdown of Daniel's, the 8th chapter, is simply going into, a time period in which, during the 604 through 536 BC, that's during the time of Daniel, but he was given a vision of something that would come 200 to 300 years after him. But that just shows you that this Bible is a book of prophecy, man. And if the Lord made good on these promises, and we have the secular history to line right up with the history of life, man, the scriptures, the truth. It lines up with the truth, man. Who are we to think that the Most High is not going to make good on the rest of his promises and his prophecies, man? Hey, with that, I want to end out by giving all glory and infinite praises unto Yahweh Shem Yahushua. Next time, Shalom.